Welcome, everyone, to Silicon Labs Talking Tech podcast. I'm really happy that you joined us today for another episode. And today I'm joined by Mikko. Mikko is our segment manager, and he focuses on wireless applications in the retail and commercial space. And today we're going to focus that conversation a little bit on some of the recent developments in the Bluetooth space. So Mikko, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Kyle. Fantastic to be over here, and happy to talk to you all about what's happening with the location services.
Excellent. Well, before we get started, last time we talked, you said you were getting your boat out and you were doing some sailing. How's that been going?
It's been going fantastic, Kyle. We're in the middle of the summer here in Finland. We get 12 hours of daylight, and this season has really been fantastic. I think we're on our 26th day of the heat wave, so it's been 25 degrees and above and winding, so couldn't be better.
That's great. I actually got out on our lake, Lake Austin, this weekend and did some surfing on the lake. So that was a lot of fun as well. It's nice to get out during the summer months when the weather's nice.
All right, fantastic. So how do you do surfing on the lake? Was that windsurfing?
It's a wake boat. So they create a wake with the boat, and then you get behind it, and the wave actually pushes you forward with the boat. It's a different experience. It's unlike skiing where you're being dragged behind the boat. This is where you're actually in the wake of the boat and you're surfing right beside it. So it's pretty neat to see all these boats whipping around the lake with people standing 10 feet behind the boat surfing in a wake. You'll have to see it sometime, Mikko.
No, I need to give it a try. That sounds great.
Yeah. Well, let's cut to what everybody wants us to talk about, and that's, like you mentioned, Bluetooth tracking and location services. Can you just start us off? What's new in that market? What do you see when you're out talking to customers?
Yeah, multiple things. So maybe start first with the technology. So over the last couple of years, there hasn't been much public development. The most recent thing that came to the Bluetooth standard was this direction finding technology, and that was released a couple of years ago with the Bluetooth 5.1 standard. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to get more accuracy into tracking application. With direction finding technology, we can actually detect from which direction the Bluetooth signals are coming from down to a few degrees of accuracy. And that gives us a lot of extra data to nail down where those transmitting devices are versus what the most people have been doing with RSSI-based solutions, which are not that accurate. And we already showcased that technology. That was pre-COVID season. I think it was CES of 2020 or CES of 2019. That was an early showcase of the technology. And we've been working with some lead customers since then to help them build their own products and bring this technology to the market. And this year we're actually starting to finally see that. So I can't really tell customer names, but we should have a few solutions coming out second half of this year utilizing that technology for tracking applications. What else I've seen in the market, adoption of Bluetooth technology and Bluetooth radios in a lot of commercial infrastructure. And what the commercial infrastructure is, what I mean with that is, devices like the Wi-Fi access points. Pretty much all those vendors have already integrated Bluetooth radios into their products. And one of the main use cases they use Bluetooth for is either to send out beacon packets, so you can detect, indoor wayfinding or turn-by-turn navigation, so you can know where you're indoors. Or, alternatively, they can also search for Bluetooth tags, so do asset tracking solutions. And we are seeing a similar trend with commercial lighting as well. So lighting is everywhere in buildings. And over the recent years, people have been adding wireless connectivity into lighting purely to cut cables between luminaires and controls or between luminaires and sensors. And while they have that radio over there, they can actually also use it, for location-aware applications. And some of our customers are sending out Bluetooth beacons from the luminaires, and again, those can be used for location services. So those are some things, Kyle, I've seen over the past 2 years.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the updates that you provided, and these stores, they're investing in all this infrastructure or buildings. And like you said, as long as they're going for the wireless light bulb, they're trying to find more and more things they can put in there to improve efficiencies. So that's great that they're doing that. Anything else that you see?
Well, funny that you mentioned. I was going to say that, especially in the COVID times, surprisingly, we've seen these solutions roll out quite a bit. People have seen COVID as an opportunity to digitalize things and make them more modern, especially in the retail setting. So just a side comment there is, over the last year, we've seen more traction to these solutions than ever. And I was actually talking to, one customer of ours in the healthcare space, and they said that during the COVID times, the amount of critical healthcare equipment in the hospital has grown by a lot. And what they want to do is they want to track that equipment because it's critical, it's expensive, and they said basically the same thing that we've seen the demand for indoor asset tracking solutions raise over the last year.
Yeah. So with the asset tracking is, I know one of our strengths at Silicon Labs is power consumption. So have you seen that actually help these medical devices and other assets, add asset tracking capabilities to their tags?
Yeah, absolutely. It's when we look at these applications, when you want to track things at scale, it's not necessarily cheap. If you create these tile-like Bluetooth tags and start attaching them to things, they cost multiple dollars. So it's compared to things like RFID, it's not as cheap. And one of the things everybody is super interested in, what's the battery lifetime for the tag, and they want to maximize it because that comes down to the cost of running the solution. If you need to go and replace batteries every year, you actually need to either replace the tags or send somebody to service them, and that's expensive. And the longer we can, or the longer battery life we can get, the lower the cost, and then more likely it's going to be to use this technology for tracking whatever things you need to track. And currently, we're in a point where devices like our latest Bluetooth chip, the BT22, we can actually get 5 to 10 years of lifetime out of simple coin cell batteries, and that's really something that basically reduces the cost of running a solution and makes it more likely to be used.
Yeah, that's the 5 to 10 years is for most of our listeners they know, but that's once you get to the 10-year mark, it's really the life of the battery itself. So it's your electronics are taking less out than the application requires. So that's great.
Yeah, exactly so.
So jumping back into more of the Bluetooth side of things again, what has the Bluetooth SIG, what have they done? Have they made any changes, constant improvements specific to location services or asset tracking?
Yeah, absolutely. They have, Kyle, and I think the most recent thing, which I already mentioned, was the introduction of the direction finding technology with Bluetooth 5.1. Of course, most of the development in the Bluetooth SIG is done by member companies like us, and then the Bluetooth SIG helps us. They facilitate the standardization process, the documentation, the publishing of the standard, and the interoperability testing, as well education of the market. Publicly, the direction finding is the most recent thing they've announced, but the development doesn't stop there. So there's a lot of activity to bring out new versions of Bluetooth standard, adding multiple features, let's say, for different use cases. And there's work going on for location services as well. And as the standard isn't out yet, I can't talk about the details, but let's say that they're looking at adding wireless range measurement or ranging technology into the next major version of the Bluetooth standard. So there's more enhancements coming to enable either new use cases, new applications, or improve the current ones.
All right, and you're extremely involved in the Bluetooth SIG, correct? You and several other members of Silicon Labs are engaged, actively participating in improvements and really making sure that Silicon Labs understands what the SIG's doing as they're developing those new improvements.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kyle, so we have various levels of engagement at the Bluetooth SIG. We are very active in the Bluetooth mesh standardization for lighting and other types of applications. We are of course involved with the new development of the next major versions of Bluetooth standard. That's first of all key to us, so we understand what's going on, so we can add the new features into our roadmap products or add new software features, and also educate our customers on what's coming next, and then take the feedback from our customers back to the Bluetooth SIG and say this is what the market wants. So yeah, we are absolutely involved with the SIG development.
Well, and being involved, understanding everything, I guess the next question for me to ask you is, so what has Silicon Labs developed recently? I mean, what are some of the improvements that you've seen our company, mostly with our software, but a lot of it has to do with the new SoCs we roll out. What have we released that's really helped us provide a better solution for Bluetooth direction finding and tracking products?
Great question, Kyle. I think there's multiple developments happening at Silicon Labs. One of the biggest ones, for this application was the BT22 Bluetooth SoC, which we announced at CES last year, and started shipping it late first quarter last year. And what we really did with that device, we optimized it for lowest possible power consumption, and that's really to enable that 5 to 10 year battery life for those tags and other applications that need low power functionality. Besides that, that was also the first device for us that supported direction finding technology. So you can use the BT22 as a simple direction finding tag. But you can also use it on the infrastructure side to discover tags, get the angle measurement out. So that was another major feature for these applications on the BT22. Now, what else we've done? We've actually invested a lot of time into the direction finding technology and helped the infrastructure providers, implement this technology as easily as possible, because the hardest things need to happen on the infrastructure side. And we've developed antenna arrays, which is an essential part of this technology, and we provide them as the reference to our customers. And we've developed already multiple versions of the array. So we've listened to our customer feedback and tried to improve and reduce the size of the array and minimize the cost. And that work still continues, but we've done a lot over there. And then we've done a lot of work on the software side for the infrastructure. So one of the hardest problems with the direction finding technology is to actually compute from which direction the signal comes from. So basically compute the angle and elevation information, and also to filter out the so-called multipath signals. That's one of the hardest problems with these technologies. Most times we actually see a reflection of the signal, and that means that the direction where it's coming from, it's going to be incorrect, and we need to be able to detect that and filter it out, and just provide the information of the line of sight signals to our customers. So a lot of work has been done for that piece of software, because that's something most of our customers are not motivated to develop, but we provide it as a library for them. So that should simplify their lives quite a bit.
Yeah. Mikko, I've actually seen the application, the software from our Bluetooth support team, and it's gotten better over just the last 12 months. So like you said, it's an iterative process. They're releasing new arrays, and then they fine tune the software. They're really looking at all those different ways that they can set up that system. So it's improved a lot, and we provide that in the SDK, right? There's a locator example application. It runs a Python program to show the location, things like that. So we provide quite a bit, as you said, to get those people evaluating it quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's all the software and documentation now comes in our standard SDK. So if you download the SDK and get a handful of our kits, it's pretty easy to set up. I've done it myself. Set up a few locators and a couple of tags. It's gonna take a few hours to set it up, but a few hours to set up a kind of complex indoor positioning system. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right. Well, let's end with a special topic. I mean, what do you see when you go to customers? What's their number one request that you're seeing from customers? I mean, what are they asking for?
Well, when talking about these types of applications, a lot of customers ask for accuracy.
Okay.
If they wouldn't be talking to us about this solution if that's not what they need. Typically, when we start that discussion, they typically need 1 meter type of accuracy, and that seems to be, if you can get to that level of accuracy, then it's worth for them to invest more into technology like this compared to a simple single strength based solution. So that's one very, very common ask. The other one is when you want to track things, you need to make this as affordable as possible for people to be able to track things at scale. So a lot of questions come to how can we simplify and minimize the infrastructure, make it affordable, and also especially on the tax side, because most units are gonna be the items you track, and the more affordable we can make that, the better it enables our customers to track things at scale. If that makes sense.
It does. It does. And as you mentioned, the infrastructure, just the types of arrays, whether it's, I know we have a 9x9 array, we're working on smaller, scale arrays, because to your point, when you're talking to the end customer and you're telling them they have to put these units for the infrastructure, that is ultimately the cost that they're concerned with. And so providing flexibility and different options is definitely great. All right. Well, you've taught us a lot, Mikko, but I know the last few podcasts I've talked to our other presenters about Works With that's coming up in a couple months. And you have been extremely busy putting together some courses specific to the topic we're talking about here. Can you explain maybe just a couple of the classes that that we're providing and what it might offer our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we have a total of 6 courses at Works With, which are somehow tied to indoor location services or asset tracking solutions. Just to highlight a few. So I'm actually presenting there myself. It's really a high level session talking about what kind of applications benefit from indoor location asset tracking type of solutions. What do we see on the market where this technology is getting adopted, and what are the benefits. There are a lot more technical courses as well. So I know my colleagues will be explaining and actually showcasing our solution. So how our Bluetooth direction finding solution works, what are the hardware components and what are the software components needed to set it up. And I think they're trying to do a live demo as well of not a massive scale, but tracking a dozen assets or so. Then we also have partners talking, so it's not all Silicon Labs. For this technology especially, we have one of our partners from California called IOC, and they are capable of customizing Bluetooth direction finding solutions. So whether it's software development or custom antenna array development or solution development, so they'll be giving an overview what they can do and what their capabilities are. So those are the types of courses we do at Works With.
Yeah, and there's 2 other ones. The one that I was in a review the other week with Track Unit, another Scandinavian company that does a really impressive use of asset tracking for like industrial equipment, right, for fleet management. And then there's another one, Recover, more for automobile tracking. So we've got quite a bit of courses for people that are listening to this podcast that are interested in this topic. I mean, they'll have about, like you said, 6 hours of content with subject matter experts, a lot of demonstrations, and testimonials from customers who are using the products. So should be a worthwhile investment of time if people come to the event.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing some of those courses myself.
Me too. Well, Mikko, thanks again for joining us for the podcast. It's always great to have our subject matter experts join, help the listeners understand a little bit more about all the different solutions that Silicon Labs offers. So thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem. It's been fun, Kyle.
All right. And for our listeners, again, thank you for taking the time to download the Talking Tech podcast. And until next time, everyone, stay safe.